Got my book.
Got your book. Well, we thought we'd do something different today. We thought we'd do a book club edition of Rollin.
Yeah, I've got The Moaning of Life by Carl Pilkington.
Well, okay.
Yeah. The Worldly Wisdom, in fact.
Is it a blank book?
Well, it's from Carl Pilkington. No.
Oh, there's actual words in there.
Fun fact, Valentine's Day is banned in Saudi Arabia, and I think can be worn or sold on the day. It's almost like they're acknowledging it by not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting. I brought some books.
Oh yeah, what books?
I brought Salem, 1692, which is about the Salem witch hunts.
Oh, that looks good, yeah.
Tortuga, 1667, which is about pirates.
Oh, that looks good as well, yeah.
And then Deadwood, 1876, which is about cowboys.
Do you know what would be really good?
What's that?
If they were a game.
Well, guess what? These are games. Tortuga, 1667. It is a game about piracy of the high seas. You are basically trying to get as much treasure on your team by the end of the game. The problem is, you don't know who is on your team. So throughout the game, you're kind of stealing treasure off people, giving people the black spot, blowing up ships. It's great fun.
Salem 1692 is a card-based game. It's figuratively and literally a witch hunt. There is one or two witches, depending on the size of the group, that are trying to infect the rest of the group to be witches. If you're a witch or a non-witch or a constable, you're trying to find out who is a witch before the witches kill the non-witches. There's a lot of witches and non-witches and constables, but it's a great game, fantastic party game. The end.
Deadwood, 1876. This is set in the Wiki Wild West, and you are on teams of cowboys who are basically trying to get as much gold as possible. It's a kind of elimination game, so you basically have a couple of teams depending on which location you're in, and the team with the most amount of gold at the end of the game gets to go in the final showdown, where you have a big shootout, and the person who's the last standing basically wins. Yeah.
Just hold these a second.
Oh, that's pretty heavy. So, we've just played these 3 Facade games.
And what an enjoyable evening it has been.
It has, yeah. It's been pretty good.
So there were 5 of us in our game, and they were 2 members of my board game group, Stuart and Liz. And thank you, Stuart and Liz, for joining us this evening and giving us their thoughts, which we'll feedback on in a minute.
Yeah.
Will, well, we know what we'll talk about Will. And our lovely selves.
Of course.
And it was always an honour and a privilege to hang out with you.
It is always a privilege and honour for you, but, you know.
So, we played Tortuga, we played Deadwood, and we played Salem. Very different games in either style, even though they look like books, they are very different games. My initial thoughts is, if you've got 4 people, Tortuga.
Okay.
If you've got 5 people, Salem.
And how many people do you need for Deadwood?
0, because you wouldn't ever play it. Because it's... No, that's being mean. I didn't like Deadwood. It's not wasn't really for me. If you want a quick, fast action game, I get it.
Yeah. I think with these games, so... we, at the beginning of this, said that we were going to say which ones we thought were the most fun for a board game group and what was the best one for a family kind of night. Deadwood didn't really match either of those ones. Everyone at the table kind of agreed that Deadwood's a fun game, but out of when you put them next to Salem and Tortuga, these 2 games are just a lot more thematic and a lot more... Okay, there's a lot more strategy you can kind of put in there, whereas Deadwood was a very luck-based.
Very luck-based. Like
and you feel you're getting picked on as well, you know, when
when
you play with Will,
because you're quite a calm character, but you did lose your cool.
I lost my cool. It's getting on. Someone does a really
douche move. So for us, Deadwood, that's out of the running. You know, it's a good game. You know, we will review it in its entirety at some point. But no, not for me.
Which brings us down to Tortuga 1667 and its sequel Salem 1692.
So all 3 games played around the 30 to 60 minute mark. Salem being the longest and would have probably hit around the hour mark. And Tortuga was about 40 minutes. I have played Tortuga a lot with 4 players, and it was enhanced when you had that 5th player. When you added that extra player, it added a bit more depth, it added a bit more dynamic to the game, and it was good, really enjoyable. But here's a but. If I was with my board game group and I had 5 players, this is not the one I feel I'd reach for. This is the one I'd reach for.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree with that. I think with Tortuga, I play it with like up to about 7 people, I think. And when you do have an odd number of players in there, it really does add the strategy. Both these games are very similar in the sense there's like a hidden kind of... this one's kind of got like a hidden traitor in there. Yeah. And this one is very much hidden loyalties. So there's 2 teams, unless there's 3... there's an odd amount of players and then there's 3 teams. But yes, I agree with that. I think out of the 2 for a board game group night, I think that Salem 1692 probably pips Tortuga just to the post, just because it's very thematic and it was really fun.
Yes. Now, family nights are fun nights, but we know what family are like. They get a little bit angsty.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, they don't want to sit around and learn the rules.
Very true.
Which is why that is not the game to play on a family night.
True. I think also the theme of Salem might not necessarily be for every family. It is about, it does talk about witchcraft, and some families that's not exactly their bag. So yes, I think Tortuga is probably the better family game because you could get a lot more people sitting down at the table for this. And I think for younger children as well, there's that whole pirates, which are fun.
Yeah, and you have to think about the physical activity involved in Salem, which is keeping your eyes closed. And I don't think, having a younger family, I don't think my younger children would do that. And I think they're more likely to be engaged with this sort of game.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, when we're talking about the game to play with a family, it's Tortuga. And for a game to play with a board game group, with 5 people is Salem, less than 5 people, Tortuga.
Ideally, both games in the evening because they're both very well done, and there's a lot of strategy involved in these games as well.
In terms of the best game, if we removed all of those criteria and threw them all in the bin, the best game for me is Salem. It's the original and the best.
It's their first game, and I'd agree with you there because I love theme in a board game, and this one is the most thematic because there's a whole kind of script in there for someone who's a moderator to kind of talk you through these night phases and all these different things. And it's just, for me, it just kind of, it's really thematic, and it invokes a really good kind of sense of dread when you're playing this. And it's fun to portray people, or like put people in stocks as they go. It's great fun, and out of the 3 Facade games so far, Salem, for me,
Yes.
is the best one. Tortuga, very close.
Very, very close.
Deadwood, a good game, but not something that we specifically would reach for. I honestly cannot be bothered to do this outro. Should we get Will to do it?
Well, we can try and get Will to do it.
Okay.
Right.
Will, come make yourself useful.
Come on. We're going to make a tea or something.
Okay. So, we are Die Rolling. Thanks for watching.
What on earth is that? Where's the click,
good.
like, and subscribe? If you want those notifications, ring that bell.
Where can you find us?
Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
But not Twitter.
Correct. Well, you can find me on Twitter, but
Shh. Useless.
Back to you, Cage.